Welcome back to Smoke Barbecue Source. Today we're doing the review on the Nexgrill Neevo 720 Plus. Now this one's called the Plus because it has an air fryer attached to it. And for some of you that are wondering, Neevo stands for New Evolution in Grilling. They're calling this pit a smart grill. And it is kind of smart. This pit has modulating valves, so it can control and adjust the heat. So let's go through this grill and see how smart it is. The assembly on the Neevo 720 Plus was pretty simple. It took my boys about an hour and a half, and the most time that they spent was actually assembling the cart. It does help to have two people to do the assembly because when you put the cooking unit on top of the cart, you might have to wiggle it around or maybe stretch a few pieces to make it actually fit. The very first thing that I did once we had this all assembled is I downloaded the Nexgrill app to my phone. Then I did what I like to call the burn off, and on every single new pit that I ever get, I always want to make sure that I'm burning out any machining oils or impurities from the actual packaging process inside that pit. And for this Neevo 720 Plus, I ran for an hour at 450 degrees. And once that's all done, you can start cooking on it. It did take me a little bit to get used to cooking on the Neevo just because it has those modulating gas valves. With the Neevo, if you're only cooking at 200 to 400 degrees, only one burner is going to work. That'll be your A or your left horseshoe burner. If you want both burners to cook, you have to go from 400 to 600 degrees. But that's where it got a little tricky for me because I was actually just trying to run at 400 degrees and the right burner shut off. The other thing that wasn't really a big deal to me at first was the actual air fryer. But after using it a few times, I'm hoping that more grill manufacturers start putting air fryers on their pits, especially if you're grilling, because it's so easy to go ahead and make your burgers and start some tater tots in the air fryer. One scientific test that I always do on almost every single pit that I review is that I let my boys cook on it. And both of them agreed that it's really a nice little bonus to have this air fryer on this pit. The only downside about having a smart grill is that you're going to have power to be able to run it. You can't just go ahead and fire it up unless you have electricity. For most of you, that isn't gonna matter, but if you don't have power nearby, this pit might not be for you. A bonus about having electricity is that those modulating valves will adjust. If you open up the lid, they're gonna come up in temp a little bit, and once it's reached the temp, it's gonna back down. The air fryer has 7 cooking modes, and it comes with a nice little baking sheet pan and a basket. You have this little adjustable rack in case you wanna broil on it, and obviously your little sheet pan and basket fit in there real nice too. And you can even do toast in it. You got 7 different levels of doneness to pick from. The Neevo 720 has almost 720 square inches of cooking space. It also has a nice little warming rack. And the air fryer has a 13.8 quart capacity. I think that's a little exaggeration, to be honest with you, because I don't think you're gonna be able to stuff it full. Now, to start up the Neevo 720, it's pretty simple, but there is a procedure that you have to follow. First thing you gotta do is actually turn it on. Then to ignite the burners, you hit the mode button, hit A, hit the mode button, hit B. It'll click a little bit, and then you'll hear those burners ignite. The default setting for one burner is 300 degrees. For 2, it's 450 degrees. As far as the BTUs, we have 22,000 on the left-hand side and 22,000 on the right, totaling 44,000 BTUs, which is pretty good for a pit this size. You press the button in, you can see there's our default of 450, but let's just go down to 425 and preheat it there. This is as good a time as any to go ahead and look at a couple features on the 720 Plus. It's got a nice little spice rack so you can go ahead and throw some of your rubs and seasonings in there while you're cooking. It comes with 1 probe, but it's got 4 probe ports. And this is just a standard probe, so you can either go and pick up a couple more off from Nexgrill's website or check out your local box store. It's got a nice little cabinet where you can store some things, plus it's got this shelf, and your grease catch is also located in here, and this is something that you're gonna wanna clean clean out every 3 or 4 cooks. Or maybe after 1 cook if you have this whole little pit filled up to the max. The hood has a nice big glass window so you can see through it when you're cooking. Now you have 2 side shelves, and the one on the right has 3 hooks to hang some tools, but the one on the left, it doesn't have any hooks at all. To me, I think they should have them over here because you might want to hang some type of hot glove or a spatula or something if you're going to be working in the air fryer. As far as the casters go, they're built okay, but only 2 of them actually swivel and lock. With a pit this big, I really wish that all 4 casters would swivel 360 degrees. It just makes it a lot easier to move the pit around. I do like how the tank is stored underneath this pit. Like how you lock up this little wing nut so if you're moving around, the tank isn't bouncing all over the place. Now, I don't know if you actually heard, but that right burner shut off and we're reading 425 degrees. And you can see that our A or our left burner is ignited, but the right one isn't. So that's kind of going against what they say when this is supposed to run from 400 to 600 degrees with both burners. You can go ahead and start it up again. If you leave the lid open, it might not actually shut off. It's just always gonna be trying to get up to that temperature. But you're gonna have to plan out your cook. If you're doing a whole bunch of burgers and you want it all covered, probably gonna leave the lid open. If you're only doing a few chicken wings and you wanna cook them direct, you're gonna wanna put them on the left-hand side because that burner isn't gonna shut off. As far as the air fryer, this thing works great. Every single time we used it, we had success, and it's really simple to operate. Just pick whatever cooking mode that you wanna do, set your temperature, and the bonus is you can also set a timer. The Neevo has a nice LED controller, and you can see I have one of the probes in. You just use this button if I had all 4 in to select through each probe. The other feature that I really like is that it has a self-cleaning option. So after you get done cooking, just go ahead and press that in, and once it's all done, it'll shut off automatically. As far as the app, it works okay. You can see that it'll tell you what your temperature that you're cooking at, and if we add probes, it'll read that too. Go ahead and set a timer on it, and you heard it kick in on the pit. As far as the temperature setting, if we go up, we can still do that. And you can see now it's gonna start heating up to 475 degrees. And another thing you can do is just go ahead and shut down your pit. Yeah, go ahead, you can leave a comment right now. I know you're thinking it, so I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what my opinion on the Nexgrill Neevo 720 Plus is. It's pretty positive. I like that they're going in this direction of a smart grill. Is it perfect? No. But once you kind of figure out that it's not really gonna run both burners at 400 degrees or even 425 degrees, just run both burners at 450 and up and you're fine. If you're gonna cook something indirect, it'll work great. I like hearing those modulating valves work because then I know it's actually smart enough to adjust to where it has to be. It's easily got enough cooking space for a family of 4, and the bonus, that air fryer kind of livens up the cooking a little bit. To be able to do some french fries and tater tots while you're watching those burgers grill, it's perfect. You don't have to do part of your cook in the house. You can do it, all of it, outside. The build quality for a gas grill, it's pretty solid. Plus the handles are pretty solid, and they're far away from the pit where they're not gonna actually start to absorb too much heat. As far as the air fryer, that's a pretty solid unit. And you're gonna want that because it's gonna be outdoors. So that there for sure is a win. The only thing that I'd like to see Nexgrill upgrade is put better casters on it. Other than that, the build quality is pretty good. Now, if you're looking for a more in-depth review on the Nexgrill Neevo 720 Plus, check the description below. We'll even have a few links in there where you can go check out some pricing. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next video.